From the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Welcome back to KPIX 5 this morning. Time now 6:29. I'm Melissa Kane.
Good morning. I'm Devin Fehely. The California Highway Patrol is investigating an apparent freeway shooting and a car crash that left a woman dead in Concord. It happened yesterday afternoon on Highway 4 near the Willow Pass Road off-ramp. The CHP says a silver Honda slammed into a guardrail and flipped over. The driver, a woman from Antioch, died at the scene. Investigators found bullet holes on the driver's side door, but it is not clear yet if the woman died as a result of the crash or from the shooting.
And the search for a U.S. Marine who went missing in the Eastern Sierra is now being scaled back. 24-year-old Matthew Kraft set out on a solo skiing and hiking trip in a rugged area on February 24th. Now, he was expected to complete the 195-mile Sierra High route by March 5th. But he never arrived at his destination in Bridgeport. Now, investigators say his last cell phone activity was not far from the Inyo County community of Independence, where he initially set off. Now, authorities say that the area being searched is larger than the state of Rhode Island. And now unstable snow and high winds have been hampering their efforts both from the sky and on the ground. And a milestone in underwater exploration. For the first time, we get a look at 200 feet below the Indian Ocean with wireless technology. Now, it was live streamed with video sent via LED light through the waves. Now, past deep sea live streams used fiber optic cables. And this underwater mission, led by British scientists, is meant to explore submerged mountain ranges and undiscovered marine life.
A search is on this morning for a man suspected of carjacking an SUV on the peninsula. It happened last night in Half Moon Bay outside a Wells Fargo bank on San Mateo Road. Authorities say the suspect pulled a gun on someone at an ATM and demanded cash, plus the keys to a BMW X3. Here's a surveillance photo of the suspect. Investigators are also seeking two other men who were sitting in a car nearby and may be linked to that crime. Police believe they spotted the stolen BMW heading east on Highway 92, but they lost sight of the car as it reached the streets of Hayward on the other side of the bay. An Ohio man has decided to give up food for Lent and is planning to live off beer for more than a month.
Yeah, that's right. No solid food until Easter. For 46 days, there will only be one thing on Del Hall's menu: beer for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He says he knows it's crazy, but he wants to try.
I'm an Army veteran, so I was number one in my class in the Army. I've ran a full marathon before, 26.2 miles. I've done big challenges, but this seems very daunting. So I'm just curious if I'm up to the challenge, if I'm going to be able to do it or not.
Now, in addition to tracking his own health, Del says he'll be checking in with a doctor throughout the process.
At least one person is injured and a dozen people are displaced after two fires damaged an apartment complex in Vacaville. The first fire at the Alamo Gardens apartments on Alamo Drive started yesterday morning. Then around noon, smoke was reported at the complex. A few hours after that, flames erupted again, destroying a roof.
We had to grab our stuff and get out. Like the ceiling was falling in.
Nothing I can do about it. Just pick up and rebuild. That's it.
Investigators say the building's insulation was ripped out from ceiling to floor. It is not clear yet whether the fires are related.
And more than 200 Oakland school clerks and other staff will be getting layoff notices in the coming weeks. Now, the Oakland Unified School District says it needs to make a $22 million cut from next year's budget. Security officers, reading tutors, and librarians are just some of those full-time positions that will be affected. After 7 days of strike last month, Oakland teachers approved a new contract for an 11% raise over 4 years. And the teachers union says the school district should not blame the new teachers contract for these non-teacher layoffs. The Oakland Unified School District unanimously passed a plan for those layoffs last week.
People who live in their cars will now have a few new places to park overnight in Oakland, hassle-free. A new program launched by the Interfaith Council of Alameda County will open up 4 church parking lots in the coming months. The site at Williams Chapel Baptist Church will open first starting next week. 3 other lots will open in April. Now, people who use those lots will have to follow some rules. They must own the vehicles that they're living in. They must also be employed or attending college. They'll be allowed to stay a maximum of 90 days with extensions granted on a case-by-case basis. Security guards will be on site overnight. Portable toilets, hand washing stations, and drinking water will also be provided. Other homeless services, including job training, will be available during the day. A family is mourning the death of a Vallejo man who was killed in a snowboarding accident in the Tahoe Truckee area. The ski patrol at North Star, California found the body of 41-year-old Dennison Crowder. He'd been reported missing earlier that day after he didn't return from a Monday solo snowboard trip. The Placer County Sheriff's Department says that Crowder was found dead in a tree well outside North Star's borders. The Sheriff's Department says this winter's heavy snowfall formed a lot of tree wells in the backcountry and even in areas controlled by ski resorts. Crowder's family is heartbroken.
He was wonderful. He's kind. It's hard to believe he's gone. I look at the truck and I expect him to get out of it. Like today, we went to the store and my wife said, "Do we need cayenne pepper?" And I said, "There's nobody to eat it anymore."
Dennison Crowder was 40 years old. He will be buried on Friday.
And the death toll has climbed now to 50 in the terrorist attack in New Zealand. The 28-year-old suspected shooter reportedly showed no remorse during his first court appearance. Police do believe that Brenton Harrison Tarrant was a lone gunman. New Zealand's prime minister said yesterday she plans to push for tighter gun laws. Meanwhile, Bay Area mosques and Islamic centers have been holding vigils for the victims of the shooting. Last night in Sunnyvale, people at the Pacifica Institute held signs with the names of some of the people who were killed. Others knelt in the traditional form of Muslim prayer, and people of various faiths and backgrounds attended.
As a member of the Jewish community, I know what it's like to be have your faith targeted by white supremacy. I see no difference between us being targeted and Muslims being targeted, except that politicians tend to excuse it when it happens to Muslims more.
Similar vigils were held last night in other cities like San Jose, Fremont, and Mill Valley.
The deadly shooting rampage in New Zealand is a somber backdrop this weekend as some people mark the Persian New Year. In Oakland, the Islamic Cultural Center of Northern California initially thought about canceling this year's event, but organizers decided to continue with their plans in defiance of the fear that the gunman had hoped to inspire, and people turned out by the hundreds.
I decided to still come out anyways, just to show my solidarity.
What if there's a shooting here? It's like the first Persian Nowruz event in Oakland, and there are a lot of people attending, and it's just, I'm very paranoid these days, yeah.
What made you come out?
My love for my culture, yeah.
There was extra security at the event, and Oakland police are also doing extra patrols. How great does this sound? To get paid to travel the world for as many as 11 weeks.
Yeah, but there's one catch. You have to be willing to let Instagram users decide where you go. The travel company Busabout is looking for 6 people for what it's calling the Great Travel Experiment. Travelers will globetrot for free and earn a small salary each week as Instagram users dictate their travel. Now, to apply, the company is asking for a 1-minute video introducing yourself and showing off your hometown.
As long as they're not malicious requests and they're sending them places because they really want to see pictures and not because they want to play with you. All right, there's your 7-day forecast. Chance of rain showing up on Tuesday. Don't count on a whole lot Tuesday. Better rain on Wednesday. Thursday has a chance of rain at this point, but it doesn't look like widespread rain there either. And then I think a more promising bet for rain actually shows up for next weekend. I know that 7-day looks like a bummer with all that rain on it. I get it. It's not going to be like the last series of storms that came through here. Just a few chances of showers.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Have a great St. Patrick's Day.